This video was reportedly taken by a Navy patrol boat off the coast of Chile in South America. What appears to be a gigantic, slow-moving UFO is soon confirmed by both the Navy and a nearby air traffic control tower to not be one of their own. I was thinking maybe this was an ordinary blimp or a helicopter, until it emits some kind of inky mystery substance at the 8-minute 18-second mark. The camera cuts away for a bit, and then approximately 5 seconds later you can see the substance has solidified into a thick, clumpy mass. As if that isn't weird enough, the UFO then detaches itself from the mass, which hangs completely suspended in midair, and keeps on going until it's no longer in sight. I have certainly never seen an aircraft do that before, and it doesn't look normal at all. If this is not edited, then I have little doubt that this visitor is from another planet entirely. If you've ever had an attic, then you know what it's like to hear any kind of sound emanating from above. Absolutely freaking terrifying. YouTuber Sean Wells 2001 seems to agree, as he decided to investigate the rattling in his attic, which he says only happens at night. Sean writes, "Steven, my roommate, says it's the wind because I leave my windows cracked at night for fresh air, but not sure if it's the wind." Sean set up his camera in his closet atop a pile of jeans to catch the rattling while he slept. This is what happened. At around 4 a.m., the attic door starts rattling jarringly. It sounds like someone is trying to get out. You can actually see the door move aggressively and repeatedly. A while later it happens again, and Sean notes that you can hear his dog whining in the background. Many in the comments think the source of the noise has got to be paranormal. Others consider that it might be a squatter trying to mess with the homeowners. Though different theories abound, most can agree on one thing: it's not the wind. What is this being lurking in the forest? YouTuber Fish On Fish Out returned to his favorite fishing spot with the boys when he spotted this. What was that? I'm not sure what that is. Could it be pareidolia? Maybe, but I think it's a demon lurking, angry that they took his favorite fishing hole. Luke either has a problem with his car's motion detection system, or his house is haunted. No in-betweens. So I know it's probably mistaking the can for a person because they're about the same size, but why does it suddenly do this? The trash can obviously doesn't move, and yet the icon abruptly turns towards him after 20 seconds of recording. It doesn't turn left, it doesn't look behind, it looks straight his way for no reason. Is this a real ghost sighting video or a glitch with his car? Our next entry reunites us with Dark Ghost, a Russian paranormal investigator who has encountered some truly terrifying entities. However, this latest video quite possibly takes the cake in what he himself describes as the scariest house he has investigated. An email with coordinates brought Dark Ghost to the location in question. According to the message's text, the girl who sent it claimed an elderly couple once resided there and experienced countless disturbing occurrences, mainly from the home's basement. Among them were unexplained noises, including full conversations and something attempting to open the basement from below. After the couple passed, the home was inherited by their relatives. However, they refused to move in, and the home has been abandoned ever since. Dark Ghost's investigation starts off quiet, and he states he hasn't experienced anything, and it is already reaching 11:30 p.m. He then proceeds to set up stationary cameras, and that is when the activity starts. Not long after he leaves the room, the static cam witnesses a glass move on its own, sliding close to the edge of the shelf it is on. None of the other glasses are disturbed, and it wasn't knocked by anything, as it wouldn't slide in such a manner if it were. It is almost as if something is either pushing or pulling it. It is then tipped off the edge and breaks. Dark Ghost was in the middle of explaining to his camera what he did when he heard the glass break, and that's when things get really crazy. Without warning, the entire house begins to aggressively shake, enough to send bricks collapsing from the ceiling. This lasts only a few seconds before ending just as suddenly. Dark Ghost, well stunned, thankfully is uninjured and moves in to assess the damage. As he is inspecting the kitchen, where the static camera is, he is startled by what sounds like a floorboard being pushed up, followed by several loud bangs from the other room. They sound either like a fist pounding against a wall or floor, or very heavy footsteps, but it is difficult to tell. Inspired by what has happened, Dark Ghost decides to start an EVP session in an attempt to communicate with whatever is there.
Кто вы?
He starts by asking if anyone from the spirit world is present, and despite receiving no immediate answer, eventually the device comes back with "help us." He continues to press for the entity to identify itself, and soon after it responds with, "We've been trapped." When asked where, it responds, "He trapped us down here." Earlier, when Dark Ghost heard the floorboard move, it has been covered in rubble. It again requests help and asks Dark Ghost to open the basement. However, 30 seconds after this request, something else appears to come through and say, "Don't open it," followed by, "They're lying." Clearly, there are multiple spirits communicating, each with contradicting requests. After several more requests to open the basement, an entity replies with a chilling phrase, "I will deliberately eat your heart."
Я сейчас, друзья, специально...
By now, it is clear one of the entities there has malicious intent against Dark Ghost, and while he initially states he will not open the basement, and receiving some talk back as a result, curiously gets the better of him and he decides to lift the floorboard and venture down. At first, he attempts to use an RC car fitted with a camera, but unfortunately the camera battery dies. Despite his better judgment, he ventures down himself. After a few minutes of crawling without incident, he stumbles across a small bone in the dirt. As he takes a closer look, a sudden noise as if something hitting metal can be heard in front of him. At the same moment on his static camera, left to hold to the basement, a shadow figure can be seen against the cupboards in the kitchen. As it vanishes, he emerges and claims to have heard hissing from below. As he is working to get the boards back in place, a very loud hiss sends him rushing out of the hole. This proves to be all he can take, and all for his safety, he returns the board to the floor and decides to leave it for the night. Something in the home clearly wants out and to cause harm, but one must wonder who the other poor soul trapped with it is, willing to warn others not to fall for the lies the other spirit says. If you've ever worked night security, human activity is likely the most you've ever had to worry about. Working security in India is another story, published by World of Wildlife and More in January of 2018. This security guard couldn't believe his eyes when he encountered a big cat roaming the Mumbai neighborhood at night. Captured at nearly 1 in the morning, the security guard is seen sitting on a plastic chair, probably trying his best to keep awake. The street is quiet. Just as the car approaches, so does an enormous leopard. The big cat looks like he's aiming toward the guard, but as he sees the car's light, the leopard rushes across the street instead and leaps up and out of sight. Wrapped in a blanket, the security guard goes to check it out, likely thinking he dozed off and was imagining things. After looking for the cat for a moment, the security guard walks off camera and returns with a big stick. The video ends before viewers see if he was forced to use it, but hopefully the leopard didn't stick around. The man was lucky the car showed up just in time. He could have been that leopard's lunch. Published to YouTube by Proving Demons in May of 2020. You might want to call your local exorcist after watching this video. The uploader explains that the house they entered is known to have been the site of an exorcism, and they were exploring it to capture paranormal activity. He writes, while experiencing heavy poltergeist activity, I could feel the demon inside trying to possess me as it did the previous owner, who is now insane in a mental institution. From that point, our ghost hunt took a turn for the worst. Let's take that turn with them. After hiking up to the abandoned building and entering through a crawl hole, the crew finds the inside looks like a surreal art shed. Colorful paper lanterns hang, arrows are pointing every which way. All natural light in the place is framed by gothic windows. At first, the general aura of the place is curious rather than creepy. There are lots of scraps of paper posted to a board, a large map, a guitar hanging on one wall. As one YouTuber, Lavender Rainbow, points out, there's a pamphlet on the wall later in the clip at 16 minutes 29 seconds that reads, Bipolar Disorder Survival Guide. So maybe the person living here was trying to seek psychiatric help. You find yourself wishing you were there, so you might examine things up close and learn more. But then the crew hears a woman screaming. They head towards a back room, with one of the dudes mentioning that they hadn't even made sure they were alone in this building. In fact, the building looks very lived in, not abandoned. There's what looks like a bed in the next room with blankets on it, a full backpack beside it, clothes hanging. Are they alone? He continues into the next room, hearing others inside, but it turns out just to be his own crew. You can hear a lot of sounds and things moving, like there are animals on the roof. Next, the door closes behind him by itself. They use the EVP to see if anyone's there in the home with them. The quick reply is yes. They also hear the words demon, as well as a warning, get out now. The demon tells them they have no right to be there. Andrew says he's starting to feel affected and his hands are shaking. And moments later, something falls off the shelf. Even scarier are the Polaroids that they find of what appears to be an authentic exorcism or ritual of some sort. What do you think went on in this makeshift cathedral of a home? A possession? Would you feel comfortable in the demon's skin? There is a powerful figure on this roof, and it's united the villagers in rebellion. Posted on TikTok by Tati Catalina, this scary video shows a large dark figure dominating this rooftop. Anyone who dares near it seems to be blown back, either by her power or from fear. Watch. All those who try to reach the roof fail, and the figure doesn't seem to be bothered by them. They're even throwing things at the figure, but with one great pop, she disappears. Is this dark magic in the round? I'm not sure if this was a witch or some other mysterious creature, but I am sure she's managed to traumatize these villagers for life. There's nothing more haunted than something that moves of its own accord, except maybe when it jolts aggressively of its own accord. Submitted to Reddit by Nick4566. This swing in India is not child's play. Nick writes, this was seen in a well-known city of India. The park is closed since a year as a lady took her own life here long back, and the park is not used by children. Watch the swing at the beginning of the clip flinging back and forth on its own. It's a bit unnerving already, but as some in the comments point out, someone might have pushed it before the person began filming. You probably thought that yourself, but watch further. The swing slows halfway through the video only to suddenly jolt back to life. Flinging aggressively back and forth. The leaves in the surrounding trees are barely fluttering, so none of this could be due to wind or nature. It's completely supernatural. Could the spirit of the woman who took her life still be here? And why is she swinging? We may never know.
You see this key? This key is gonna save my life.
A YouTube channel called Snake Hunters TV takes a risky challenge by locking himself in with a Burmese python and hides the key. He hides the key and shuts the locked tank door behind himself. Now it's up to his daughter Karista to save his life. The snake senses a new object is near and starts flicking its tongue, trying to sense if it's food.
Lock me in! Am I locked in?
Yep.
I can't get out.
He knows not to make any sudden movements or else the snake will react. He has to stay calm. When the snake gets in his lap, he knows he's in trouble and has to slowly stretch his legs out without panicking. By the end of the challenge, he's huddled in the corner with the snake pushed as far away as the claustrophobic tank allows. I'm thinking they fed the snake before making the video to make it less likely to be hostile because it hardly seems interested in him by the time he leaves. But hungry or not, crawling into the den of a 12-foot python is one challenge I could never take. These fishermen were casting into the ocean waters of Palm Beach, Florida, when a massive potential megalodon shark comes straight at their boat. The gigantic shark is easily the same size as their entire boat and could flip them if only it knew how. The sea creature faces them head on and gives the fishermen a great view of its Goliath physique as they have a tense standoff. Then it quickly snatches up the bait and retreats back to the depths below. It's hard to make out a lot of detail because there is somewhat of a glare, but I have little doubt that this video is real. Let me know if you have any idea as to what kind of shark this could possibly be. While filming some footage in an old hotel corridor for a project, Redditor I Am Not the Problem captured something unexpected. Look for the pale blobby thing floating in the middle of the hallway. Did you see it? The Redditor says it's not a bug, and they weren't wearing any reflective jewelry. Still, Redditors have some plausible theories. The more I watch the clip, the more I logic my way toward the mirror hypothesis. This video comes from a supposedly haunted home in Chiefland, Florida. Diane Fraser and her paranormal investigation group attempt to summon the ghost of a child named David by inviting him to play with a toy top. Sure enough, the small piece of plastic soon begins to move on its own.
Can you make sure that's zoomed in correctly?
It is. Yeah.
I want you to see this. You missed
Look
it.
at that. Good job.
Can you get that, Gabby?
I am getting, yes.
Yes, there he goes.
Whoa. All right.
Eventually, Diane feels pains in her stomach and they are able to determine that David was kicked by a horse, possibly centuries ago. I have never seen this ghost equipment or software before, so I'm not sure what the radar screen is for. If this is just a regular tablet with an app, then there really should be no possible way for the top to spin by itself. A YouTuber named BR Henry16 is deep in a Southern California mine when he sees a pale light off in the distance. The light doesn't have the intense brightness of modern electronics. Instead, it looks dim and swings at waist level, kind of like an old lantern would have. BR Henry16 is sure that this is the spirit of a cave miner, and I would have to agree. Let me know if you think the same, or if you believe this portion of the video was staged. Get thee to a nunnery. That's what this ghost of a nun did, and it didn't turn out well for her. Dima from YouTube channel A Sip of Fear encounters the nun's ghost in this scary video. First, he sees an unexplained shadow. Then he hears an unexplained noise.
Кто здесь?
He senses something in this abandoned church. Still not seeing anything, a Steadicam captures a quiet noise at night. Later, footsteps are heard. While we don't get a glimpse of the notorious nun, I can feel her presence in this sacred place, and it sure doesn't feel holy. Joe Pacini is obsessed with a singer named Sarah Bareilles, and he believes their destiny is to be together forever. He makes a bizarre YouTube video ranting about how members of the occult, the CIA, and the FBI are all working together to frame him and keep this romance from happening.
Clearly these guys want me dead. We're in prison, and there's no way I'm going back to prison. Nope.
The video is hard to understand because of his disjointed, rambling logic, but apparently there was some kind of incident at the local gym, and now a police detective is calling Joe's number.
Hello, my name is Matt Huffnell. I'm a detective with Haverford Township PD. I'm trying to reach Joe Pacini concerning an incident report that was made at the LA Fitness here in Havertown. Joe, could you give me a call at your earliest convenience?
This simple request sends Joe over the edge. Instead of calling the investigator back, Joe makes a series of YouTube videos threatening the investigator along with his entire department.
You want to try to bring me down? I will kill you and your whole family, alright? So go ahead.
Joe switches from calm and collected to yelling and screaming as he tells everyone to back off. He eventually calls the detective back and leaves a message telling him to check out his YouTube channel for more information. The police eventually find Joe driving around and immediately pull his vehicle over. According to their report, Joe backed his car into a cruiser and they took his life immediately. I was never able to find out what happened at the gym, so if you know why the police initially contacted him, then please let me know. Usually when you're in solitary confinement, you're, well, solitary. This TikTok video shows that's not always the case. In the video, an inmate stands behind bars. He's looking out through the bars and is supposed to be alone, but when he steps out of the way, a dark figure appears to be crawling on the floor behind him. It moves out of the way, blocking itself from view behind the inmate. The figure looks human-shaped, but not really human. Many in the comments believe it could be the inmate's demon that landed him in prison. Others think it's the negative energy attached to him. I guess the odds of an actual person sneaking into jail are unlikely. What do you think is going on here? In this video published by Urban Exploration in August of 2016, you can see a man in a black hoodie standing very still outside some near steps. Looking down through the uploader's window, the creep appears frozen there. The video describes what happened. For the past 4 days, I have seen a man standing in front of my building, wearing a black hoodie looking through the windows of my apartment. This video is proof, as my friends and family don't believe me. This was recorded on August 22nd, 2016 at around 3 a.m. After a minute or so of footage of this creep standing there, the YouTuber races out of the room, down the stairs, into the area to investigate. Only there's no one there when he arrives. The camera scans around, but the stalker is not in sight. Was he lurking in some nearby bushes? We can only guess. Strange things have been happening in this guy's house, which he says seem demonic. Published by Cayman Poe in May of 2011, he and his friends are up at 1 in the morning, waiting to see if anything unusual happens. After a time, they hear something from outside the room. They go downstairs to check it out, but find nothing.
Hello?
But after heading back to their room, they hear another sound, this one louder than the last. They return downstairs and notice that the bathroom door is now closed. When they tell the demon to show himself or reveal that he's there, he does. They race back upstairs while considering calling the cops, but when they hear the demon again,
Hello? I hear it again.
they are lured downstairs. The door is open. This time, the demon doesn't wait for them.
To the left.
YouTube team Rota X Investigaso Paranormal explores this haunting place where something horrible happens. As they walk in, they sense there's someone there.
Eu acho que vi uma pessoa aqui, ué.
As he introduces himself, it sounds like someone runs off into the darkness.
Meu nome é Marco.
Aqui, Marco, na frente, aqui.
They get back to their investigation, addressing the spirits.
É o espírito que uma vez falou. Opa! Olha, vamos fazer uma pergunta pra ele. Fala aí.
Boa noite. A presença que está aqui é da alguém que partiu, que estava aqui na tragédia?
In one dark and scary room, their device goes off.
Espírito maior.
Por isso a equipe Rota X pede licença para estar entrando aqui.
And a second time.
Tá, obrigado pela sua resposta, tá bom?
And then a third time.
Tá, alguém faleceu aqui, né? E você poderia me dizer...
While the readings are interesting, I'm more intrigued by the person they sensed in the building who seemed to escape. Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.